Recording. Welcome everybody to the DQ&Q Lifestyle Podcast with me, Marcus, and we're going to talk about erratic and volatile behaviour. Yeah, so erratic and volatile behaviour. I grew up where people around me were erratic and volatile. Mum and dad in particular. Dad was like more anger issue. Mum like mental health declining at that time due to her own due to life being hard. At the time, I couldn't see it. Obviously, I was a kid, so I didn't understand what was like going on. Do you know what I mean? It was only through the therapy that I started to understand that obviously it's not on purpose. You know what I mean? So yeah, I started mimicking behaviours of somebody that's been erratic and growing up. Mum's going through some stuff, and she was erratic and volatile. As a young child, I would be like the victim of this in a sense, where it would hurt me and I'd be upset and cry and stuff. Then obviously as time goes by, not obviously I'm getting older because time's going by, like it could be days, weeks, months, whatever, but it's not a big leap. I'm quickly learning to do the same back. I've mentioned this before about like as I'm learning about this on the TC, I remembered like how it's learnt behaviour. So that's what I'm saying. So as this is coming down to me and I'm absorbing this, I'm firing it back, and it's just a way to protect yourself in a sense. I'm learning a defense mechanism of being aggressive back. And I remember as I'm listening to certain things in the groups, and it just hit me about like, and talking about learned behaviour, so I'm learning about learned behaviour, and it hit me about Jamie Kyle. And I mentioned this before about how the mums and daughters in particular were like dead on the same in terms of how they're both attacking the other person in the other chair. And I thought, right, okay, that's what made the penny drop. But this isn't the reason why my erratic and volatile brain. So being erratic is like being unpredictable, and same as volatile. So erratic's more jerky in a sense. You could see it as that. Do you know what I mean? And volatile is, for example, a shook up cola bottle it's volatile. You can see it's volatile, and you know that when you undo the lid, it's going to go everywhere. So that's like volatility. It's not stable, it means. So that's not the reason why on the roads I was like that, because I was scared. Do you know what I mean? So although that was in me, it was in me to a certain point. It was just in the household really, and it's amongst like family really, not really friends. A little bit with friends, but obviously as I started chilling with people that were like rough or rougher, I didn't display this because the self-preservation there was to be meek and mild and quiet, invisible kind of thing. And then obviously I've released the rage, and then that's where I was able to be more, because on the streets, being erratic and volatile is rewarded. Do you know what I mean? Like when you're on the roads or when you're young, like it's like a gang v gang. Like it's not gang v gang, but it's like one or two one of your boys might have got a problem with another set of lads or another lad, so you've all got beef with each other. And it's hardly for like my boy to have trouble with one of their boys, and we all meet up, and I just be like, all on this is, speak. You have spoken, now speak. You have spoken. I decree that this is, and then I come with some resolution, shake hands, and there we go. Like, that ain't happening. That ain't getting rewarded. The man then be like, what? Give you a Carlton, like, no, Will Smith just gives Carlton a flipping back of it. You'd be like, that is not, in that scene, violence is rewarded. The most erratic is rewarded. The most volatile. Do you know what I mean? The man, like, the two people might be chatting like sternly with each other, they're having serious conversation, like, yeah, but I'm not listening to that. And then one of the man goes, yo, you know what, fuck this. Boom. He's volatile. Do you know what I mean? And it pops and we all know what happens. So yeah, it gets rewarded. So then it's like a reward scheme, or it's reward scheme. I can't think what the word is. What I'm trying to say, but it's basically a reward scheme. You're getting rewarded, and you're getting more points, stars, and stripes for being more erratic. So get backs, broad daylights, just kicking off like that out of the blue, just in your foot, this and just being on it. Bare damage, like hideous damage, like being all that. It's just rewarded. So then you're getting, like, when it comes to the needs again, you're getting your love and care. You're getting closer and closer to the center of this thing, which is where the warmth is, which is where the love and care is. To be honest, you know what? I will go into it. Actually. So that's where the erratic and volatile behavior becomes ingrained habit. Like, that's just what you do. So then it's like, a lot of people, some people can just do it like here and there. By here and there, I mean they can do it on the streets and then like at home like a different guy. Some people just do it all over the board. So a lot of people may even, like, as life gets harder, or as people get older, they stop being it like on road, and then they take it like it's just literally in relationships. It's literally with family. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're doing it with their own boys. They're not really going outside of their. They're not on a gang thing no more. They're not on like a opting no more. Like, forget all that. They don't want no trouble with any outside sources now. But they're just erratic and volatile now. So it's like they're going to a pub and that, and they're just doing it there. They're doing it in the house. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're doing it when they go to the mums. They're just doing it like with their friends when they're just having a little drink up in someone's house or whatever. Like, they're just doing it left, right, and centre. Do you know what I mean? It just becomes. They just become like a dickhead. Do you know what I mean? And it becomes like hard to get, because that's just how you are now. You're just erratic and volatile. Obviously, some people just grow up like that anyway. Do you know what I mean? So like I said, I did, but then I didn't show it on the roads until, what was the breaking point? I don't know if it was that. I don't know if it was the flying kick story that I told. It was. It was, because obviously I threw the flying kick, and then I missed the flying kick, but then I started throwing punches, and the punches were, you could see by what, like, because it's the way, like on the pod where I was talking about that, the way I was going on about it is because of how people were talking to me afterwards, like, or talking about me while I'm there, like, yo, did you see what you're doing? It was like this and that, and they were like they were like recreating my bit and what the guy was doing, and next, obviously I can't really remember, because obviously I was going into like a blind rage, and I'm doing my thing, and my thing was what it was. Do you know what I mean? And that was the point where, that happened, and up until that I was a nobody, and just my voice wasn't heard, and it didn't matter. And then from that point forward, I started to count more. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, because because everyone else had done something on, like, so everyone knew what people were capable of, but no one knew what I was capable of until that happened. Do you know what I mean? So I was took more serious. I wasn't like just a serious man all of a sudden. People would take note more, and they'd want me to do more. Do you know what I mean? What was it that? I think it was that. So what it was like, I was straight elevated to like more than half the, like above half the man them. I'd risen in the flipping leagues. I was like, do you know what I mean? I was not far from the top. Of like 20 man ish, 25 man, 30 man, I rose up quite quick. From, I don't know where I was in the lower leagues, whatever, because it was kind of obviously assumed due to my like stature that like I can do bits and bats, but never did anything. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, people that had a different stature to me were doing the most at some points. Even people are sometimes worried, like, yo, don't you? This man's not a serious man, but it will get busy. You know, the ones there, whereas I hadn't got busy at that time. A man is saying to like that guy, like, don't you do something mad, because you're gonna end up killing somebody or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, when he just does his like little one pops or his little mad thing. Do you know what I mean? Because he was dying for the respect of his cousin. Obviously for the man them as well, but it was mainly his cousin, because his cousin was up there still. Um, so yeah, the erratic and volatile behaviour is rewarded, and like you say, you're getting that love and that care and stuff, and so on and so forth. It's hard to break free. What else did I want to talk about? No, Listen, I can't remember what I was gonna go into, yeah, but I'm gonna go into resources quickly, cause like my boy on the TC kept like talking about like resources, and I'm thinking like, what are you? It's a resource. It's a resource. Like, what's the fuck's a resource? What do you mean? Do you know what I mean? Ultimately, I began to realize that, like I've mentioned it on the pod before, but because I didn't know, I'll explain so people can understand what their resources are. So, obviously, I'm doing therapy. So the main resource for the therapy was the groups, the community, the group meetings, the community meetings, the staff, in terms of like the counsellor, the therapist, and the screws that were facilitators of the groups. They knew their bit of stuff or knew different things. So you could go to different ones for different bits because you all excelled in like a different bit, like whatever meant more to them. Not in all of it. They wasn't well rounded. Not all of them. Some were more rounded than the others, but some had a good understanding of a certain bit that meant something to them. And you could tell that when they're speaking about certain things because that's what they focused on. Like when people get questioned in like the community meetings, especially because obviously that's when you're with all the facilitators, where you had your facilitator. Every group had two facilitators each. But some groups were a bit unstable because they didn't have, because staff were coming and going and this and that. It was like group 3 was just a bit up and down in terms of like who they had. So yeah, then you'd see like what the questioning was, what their questioning was. Like she might always question that bit, or if it doesn't pop up or it doesn't seem to fit, like she doesn't pipe up. Do you know what I mean? Or he might question that bit. So yeah, so there were like resources there. Obviously, I mentioned like going to the library. So books basically was a resource, like counselling books, therapy books. But it wasn't just a library; it was a resource for books. It was ordering off Amazon. It was getting your people to buy them from other sources and getting them sent in. It was getting them to go online, look online, and then like they can email it into you like they email it to the jail on email a prisoner. Then the prison like prints it off, and then you get it posted through your door. So you're reading this email that's been printed out. So I used to get thick, like loads, like 60 pages sometimes, mad. Because like 10, 15p a fucking um 10, 15p like a page or something. I might even be more. I think it was like 60p for like a reply. And the reply was like they'd email you with a reply sheet, and the reply sheet was just like right between these two lines. So it's an A3 sheet, and it's got like two black bars. It's like right between these two lines. Then you'd write whatever you want to write, and then you'd like post it internally, and then obviously like the schools would come and take it to like wherever they take it in the prison, and they must scan it and email it back to your people. You know, the ones there. So yeah, so that was a resource. Getting on courses, so I did like a counselling skills, mentoring. So getting that, like, so there were like a few other resources. There was like people on other wings, like other psychologists and stuff that I could reach out to. Just the prisoners in general, mentioned them before. So basically, like for yourself, like it could be like the internet, going to the library, you know, buying books off like Amazon or wherever. Using services that are about any kind of service that might like help. If you're a man, Andy's Man Club, there's at least like one in every, near enough every town and city. Sheffield's got two, Barnsley's got two, Rotherham's got two. But they're literally, there's loads, there's 50, 60, 70, 100, I don't know how many there is. Literally from the tip of the country to the top of the country. And like listening to people and seeing what they're saying. Courses again out here, jumping on some courses, whether it's a free online course or getting yourself signed up to your local college or uni, like, well, maybe not uni at this moment in time, but like local college courses or whatever. Attending seminars or any speaking, you know what I mean? Even like biographies can be good. No, autobiographies. Biographies can be good, but autobiographies would be better because it's written by the actual person. You know what I mean? And if they're somewhere where you want to be, if you want to be like, I don't know, you want to excel in something, and one of the best resources is to like listen to people's stories. You know what I mean? So like even like, so if you don't know anyone personally, that's like where you want to be, and listen to how they got there and like all the setbacks and stuff. And obviously you need to know what the feelings are that are gonna pop up. Like how did they feel when these things? Because we get disheartened or a mad feeling pops up like, oh, there's no point. You lose hope and you just don't do it no more. But you was literally this close from completing it. You've done this much work over days, weeks, months, years, whatever. And you're literally this far from the end and you just got disheartened because of like something fell through or you're waiting on something or you didn't have no patience or whatever. So it's good to like read autobiographies because they can tell you like the ups and downs and the pitfalls. And it's about really like connecting with that. Do you know what I mean? Like putting yourself in your place with your plans. So if you've got a plan, reading someone that got to where you were, and then understanding like, all right, then that's where they got to with this bit, and then this is what may happen, and then, like say putting yourself in their shoes, using empathy in it, like that's like a superpower. That's so empathy. I'm saying about like self-fulfilling prophecy. It's not really. You feel like you've got one, but it's not. It's not a superpower. But empathy is vulnerability. Empathy. You know what I mean? Not vulnerability. Empathy. So yeah, so they're your resources in terms of like getting to where you want to be. Do you know what I mean? Like just looking up to someone like, yeah, and that's it. Like, because they've got the blueprint in it. Do you know what I mean? And kind of like follow the recipe. Like, if I'm like want to make chocolate chip cookies, I'm not throwing anchovies in there, sprinkling some cheese, and putting some flipping bleach in it. I ain't following the recipe. You know what I mean? But I can make a variation of some chocolate chip, put a bit of spice, you know what I mean, in there, something like, just do a little something, different chocolate, different kind, you know what I mean, I can do something else to make a variation, because that's then my recipe, but I follow the basic recipe, that's the blueprint, you know, the ones there. There was something that I wanted to talk about there, which has literally left my mind. It was something about, like, young lads, and it tied into the erratic and volatile behaviour, and how like the point system, I think. Anyway, that's got to be it for now, because it's late, I'm tired, and I can't think what that is. But yeah, anyway, thanks for listening, everybody. Hold tight, everybody. So I see it on the map again. New Zealand, is it Perth in New Zealand? No, it's not Perth in New Zealand. Somewhere in New Zealand. Forgive me for forgetting. It's Perth in Western Australia. Accra in Ghana. Somewhere in Colombia. And I think they're on a couple of places in America, a couple of new places. Like Seattle and somewhere else. Or Atlanta. Big up yourselves. Hopefully I'm keeping you entertained. Things are going to change soon. I just want to get all this out and off my chest, and then we're going to move. Okay, Marcus, DQQ Lifestyle Podcast.